Chief. Blue. Solo. Flock. Kai.
What's happening, Loud Pack crew? Welcome back to another episode. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the big one, exposure. Exposure is vital in your dog's overall development. It's key in curing your dog's reactivity, but not all exposure is good exposure. And that's the big thing we're going to tackle today. We like to focus on guided exposure, calculated exposure, very minimal risk. Things that are going to be very beneficial for you and your dog, things that are going to help you guys move forward and make progress in terms of your dog's reactivity instead of just being at a standstill and worrying about management your entire life. Now, let's talk a little bit on why exposure is important. Take a minute to think about things that are like irrational fears of ours that we may have, like maybe being afraid of the dark or the ocean. And it comes from a fear of the unknown and not being around those environments or what's going on in those environments. You can kind of apply that to your dog as well. The more your dog experiences as a puppy, the less they'll be afraid of and timid as they grow older. Of course, genetics and, things like that do play a factor as well. But when you expose your dogs to more things early on, it can kind of nullify or, help them overcome those fearful moments. That's what we really want. Is it's okay for, it's natural to be afraid of certain things, or it's natural to be uneasy about certain things. It's just how we choose to react towards those, towards things that we are afraid of, or in this dog's case, not react. In the video you're watching, when we took our gang out for a usual run out in the Oakland hills, we saw this no dogs off leash sign, and we're usually around here, but they usually don't have this fence up. So we were kind of curious as to what's going on. We're going to continue on off leash anyway, and I'll get to more into what the fence was for, why they had no dogs on leash a little bit later in the video. But let's get back to the topic at hand, exposure. Let's take a deep dive and let's go back to puppyhood. Let's say if a dog was taken away from its mother, or if a puppy's taken away from his mother early, like a breeder sold it way too soon, maybe like the 4-week, 6-week range, something crazy like that. The dog isn't going to have a lot of interactions with its litter, so it's not going to really know how to be corrected by the mother, or, it just hasn't experienced a whole lot. So it might struggle with just overall communicating with other dogs or just being around other dogs. That doesn't necessarily mean that particular dog will be afraid of other dogs, but let's say if it's an overly confident dog, it might be a real jerk to other dogs. It just wouldn't know how to socialize with other dogs. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably have like a adult dog that's reactive. Like it's not very often that you're going to have a reactive puppy, but maybe you let some habits go on, or maybe you went about your exposure the wrong way, which is very key. Maybe you went about exposure the wrong way, and now your once upon a time adorable, cute puppy is this reactive, just stressed out dog. And we're going to dive into how we can get that cool, calm, collected dog back, but we need to go about our exposure the right way. Let's start off with a few ways people mess up in exposing their dogs. The big one, the dog park. People think like, hey, I'm going to take my dog to the dog park. That way it learns to be social around other dogs. And that is not what you want to do. If you do want your dog to have a multi-dog life, I would recommend making friends with people that do have trained dogs, very balanced dogs, mentally stable dogs, and have your dogs hang around those dogs because they're going to pick up those behaviors. The dog park is a cesspool of terrible behavior. You're genuinely setting up your dog to fail. You're teaching your dog that dogs are more entertaining than you, that it's fun when I blow off my recall and run away. I get to play for a little bit longer. You're teaching them all these terrible manners. Let's say if a dog's in the dog park hurt or getting jumped or ganged up on, sometimes dogs will all jump in with the other dog. It's just, don't do dog parks, period. Let's take dog parks off the list. A big thing a lot of people really need to remember is that socialization and exposure does not equal interaction. Like, just because your dog sees something or is around something does not mean that they have to go interact with it. And the idea is you want to build a very neutral dog. That doesn't mean you're building a robot. You just want to build a dog that's not going to go crazy every single time they see another dog, kid, skateboard, or a loud noise is going to set them off. If you do want to go around and have a dog that's very dog neutral, I recommend bringing your dog to the dog parks, but not going inside the dog park. Hanging out just outside the dog park at a space to where your dog is still focused on you. They can still listen to you. Now, if you are at a space where your dog he's just blowing you off, he or she's just blowing you off, they're just not taking treats, all they care about is the other dogs, that dog is over their threshold. And that means we just need to take a step back, maybe back up a few feet, and try to regain the dog's attention. Now, when you do have your dog's attention and they can still recognize that those triggers are over there, like those other dogs per se, if your dog's dog reactive, and they're working with you, they are taking treats, it's a good time, they're able to play, you're doing a great job. This is the exposure that we want. This is building a neutral dog. They're learning that they can be around their triggers and good things happen. Let's take, for example, Chief. So starting off, it was about a few days, 3 or 4 days of owning Chief, and we were going on hikes, we were going on walks, everything was going great, awesome, amazing German Shepherd, just him and I building our relationship. So it was a Friday night, we decided, hey, let's take the dogs to the dog park. And we went to the dog park. I had Chief in a harness on a retractable leash, and it was just applying all this tension, and he was just spiraling, spinning, jumping all over the place, whining, making those German Shepherd horse noises. It was a mess, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. Like, this wasn't the dog I spent the last 4 days with. Anytime any of the other dogs would run up to the fence to greet him, he was just losing it. So we didn't even get to make it inside the park. All right, we'll take a quick break in the story to point out over here where there was a Great Pyrenees, and he was guarding the flock of there was a flock of goats that were up there cleaning out all the grass. So hence the wildfire deterrent project thing that was going on, hence why the dogs needed to be on leash. All right, continuing back with the training video. But in regards to Chief, going back, we couldn't get him inside the park, so I thought, hey, let's walk him around the park, and so that way he'll maybe calm down a bit. You know, he can smell some of the dogs, and maybe he just chill out. Keep in mind, at this time, I had no idea what a reactive dog was. I had never heard of that before. So I'm trying to walk him around the park, and it's like the worst walk of my entire life. He's just spinning, jumping, screaming, just doing a lot. And so we leave, and the moment we leave the park and when we get up to the crosswalk, he goes right back to normal. And that's when he was right back within a comfortable threshold. And there's a barrier there that, you find out where your dog can click in back to normal and lock in with you, or acknowledge the target and then go right back to you, check in with you. And that's where you want to work your dog. At the time, I didn't know all this. I just thought he just lost it for a minute. So I went back home, did a little research on, the way he was acting. And there were all these videos of reactive dogs coming up, and he fit the description. Now with Chief in particular, he just had a case of underexposure, and he lacked confidence. So he was very insecure in himself. He was a COVID dog, so the underexposure is understandable. We just had to get him out there more. And the more your dog is out and about, the more they're going to run into obstacles. You have to work your dog through those obstacles, let them learn things, let them make mistakes that aren't too detrimental. Let them explore. The more you do that, the more of a confident dog you'll have. Some ways of confident boosting, or some ways that I like to boost confidence, is letting dogs jump on park benches and tables, building their jumping ability, letting them climb on things. Those are some ways that can build a very confident dog. It's just kind of natural obstacles that they'll meet, and then they overcome those obstacles. Lots of, praise and stuff like that. I would recommend, in terms of working dogs outside of dog parks, making sure that your dog is at its appropriate threshold and turn it all into a positive experience. The best end all be all, in my opinion, would be play. If you can get your dog to play around other dogs, that would be a major boost in their confidence. Now, see, here's the thing. We got lucky with the dog parks in our area. All the dogs were underworked, so they were like very obese dogs, just very slower kind of dogs, and Chief was always very fast. Like no matter what, Chief was always the fastest dog at the dog park. So as I was working him and he was, getting more and more comfortable being around dogs, that we could get closer and closer and closer to the dog park, and eventually in the dog park, I was playing fetch with him at the dog park. And I didn't have to worry about resource guarding or anything like that because he never was a really big resource guarder. And he was always the fastest dog at the park. And no matter what, I always knew how to throw the ball in a way that Chief would always get the ball. I don't recommend anybody do this, of course not. But ways that Chief was always getting the ball is I would throw it up for him. So he was the only dog that knew to look up for the ball. Or I would fake all the other dogs out with the ball and throw the ball in the other direction. Other dog owners, I don't care if they were sour about it or not. They should have been playing with their own dogs. But it was what it was. Over time, Chief just began to just not even greet other dogs at the dog park. He was just always ignoring them and locked in on me. So we just, we would just work him there, work him at the dog park around all these triggers. Eventually other owners started coming up to me asking me what was my training method, what was the secrets, all that stuff. And at the time I didn't know. I just was exposing my dog to other dogs and making sure that he always felt like number one. Now, another big key component of exposure is getting outside with your dog every day. Like you want your dog to interact the world that we live in. You want your dog to see as much as they can. And the more like banging noises or construction or just real life that's going on out there that your dog is around, the better for them. Eventually they will get over it. Now that doesn't mean that you need to just strap your dog up and head out to the farmer's market. If some dogs don't like being, in high social environments, that's okay. You also have to understand who is the dog in front of you. Do they want to be social and they're just going through a hard time, mentally, like they're just insecure in themselves, or do they not want to be social? Like, do they genuinely just not get a kick out of being out and about and around hella people? Like, you have to set your dog up for success. A key component with guided exposure is that you're teaching your dog to trust you, that you'll never put them in a situation that they can't handle and that is just beyond your control. With reactive dogs, you don't want them to feel like that they need to take the wheel, like they need to take charge and that you don't have control and that they're out there for themselves. That's what's awesome about guided exposure. You're teaching the dog to trust you. You're teaching your dog that you got this. You're teaching your dog that they don't have to freak out, like everything's under control, that life happens, things happen, we move on. And a trainer can help you best, like show you how to maneuver through each of your dog's triggers. Some trigger moments, they require you to just simply keep moving. Some trigger moments require your dog just to take the information in and then check back in with you. What I don't recommend doing with reactive dogs is trying to throw them into a sit while they're getting ready, while there's a build-up moment, like throwing them into a sit, trying to force them to kind of just look at their trigger, then look back at you. Just let these things happen naturally. So with reactive dogs, there's usually a build-up. So just imagine you're supercharging this battery and then you're just telling them to just sit. If anything, you're making them feel trapped. You're making them feel they just feel like they're in a stuck place. It's not the best thing to do. The best thing to always do, and the more natural thing to do whenever you see your dog's trigger, let's say it be another dog, is to keep moving. And I don't mean it in an avoidance way where you have to go around the block. You want your dog to still see the trigger and just keep moving. So another really big way I see people mess up with their dogs is on-leash greetings. Yes, early stages, you want your dog to meet other dogs, but on-leash greetings is not it. Going back into dogs feeling trapped, a lot of people will have a lot of tension on their leash, or their dogs will be pulling towards another dog. And what this is doing is causing the dogs to meet head to head. Now, if you ever notice two socialized, very friendly dogs, they don't meet face to face. That's not what dogs do. Dogs usually meet in like a circular pattern, like a kind of like, they smell each other's privates. Like it's kind of like a yin yang kind of thing going on. There's never like direct going straight directly face to face. That's usually a confrontational and body language in dogs, and sign of a dog that things are not okay. Like, we got beef, like we're squaring up. All right, this is real life, and I know you guys want your dogs to meet other dogs on a leash, so some of you guys just can't help it. It's so adorable, same breed. So this is the proper way for your dog to meet another dog on leash. Just take all the tension out of the leash. Stop pulling up on the leash. Make sure your dog is calm before greeting that other dog. They can be excited at first, but make sure they just kind of, you can kind of bring them down, calm them down, and then walk them over. Take all the tension out of the leash, and make sure you're letting the other owner know that the dog shouldn't be meeting with the tension on the leash. It's trust me, you're going to be doing your dog a great service by doing this. It keeps them from feeling trapped. It boosts their social skills. They learn to greet other dogs properly. It's a really good way to go. Now, if that's not your thing, you don't want other dogs. You don't want your dog to go around greeting every other dog they see. It's better to work on keeping things moving when it comes to your dog. Just keeping the ball rolling. Not saying that avoidance is the answer. You still want your dog to acknowledge their triggers or acknowledge the other dogs, but their main focus is you. So you can do some classic conditioning. Teach your dog to look at you every single time they see another dog. Teach your dog to walk by your side. Like, that's what my dogs do. So in the cases where there's other dogs or your dog's acting out in an area, my dogs will usually heel right by me. They'll acknowledge the other dogs, but they'll usually walk right by me. If they feel like a dog is coming up and attacking us or charging in at us, sometimes they'll try to intercept. I usually try to intercept that because I don't want my dogs getting into any confrontation. Now, we have 5 dogs, and we used to be avid dog park goers. I've just seen things go south almost all the time with dogs charging in, running in, overly excited when they greet another dog. It's not the move. Now, for those of us that like our dog to be neutral around other dogs, and you're still working towards building up your reactive dog, and you're worried about getting them around triggers, one of the biggest things you're going to have to do is get over it and just remind yourself that you and your dog can do it. You're building the life you want with your dog. You want your dog to be off leash. You want to go and explore with your best friend. You want your dog to not worry about triggers or worry about the next dog over. Get them out there. Get over it. Get over yourself. Things are going to be embarrassing, and that's okay. You're working on it. Now you know what to work on. Like, let's say your dog is freaking out. Boom, you know that my dog is over their threshold. I need to take a step back. We just a little over threshold. That does not mean run away, get all out of there. If it's been a rough day and it's way too much, yes, go home, get a reset in, but avoidance isn't always the answer. All right, guys, avert your attention back to the video. You'll see this border collie here that ran up on us. The border collie was just doing its job. Chief and Locke were doing their job trying to intercept the border collie. I called them off and put them on my left side. And this is what this is what the Great Pyrenees was barking about earlier in the video. These are the goats he was protecting. We don't know where he ran off to in this moment, but he's out there somewhere. Look at all the goats. So they took away the fire stations up here. So they've been having the goats come out and they've been chewing up, all the grass, all the dry stuff. So that way it can be a fire deterrent or fire preventative. But this is also what the border collie was, all hyped up about. It's like, yo, leave my goats alone, we just kind of keep it moving. Nobody's bothering anybody. Now, untrained dogs, yes, 100%. Keep them on leash because they're gonna clear this fence, no problem. A goat's gonna get bit, your dog's gonna get hurt. That big ass Great Pyrenees is gonna come running over and take you out. Something bad is gonna happen if your dog crosses that fence, 100%. So our boys are trained. We actually run into these goats again in another upcoming video with the boys completely off leash. I will let you know how that goes. I will let you know how the Huskies do. So it gets pretty interesting. But in this moment, I don't think Blue or Solo would have hopped over the fence, but we just decided to keep them on just in case because that was a lot of goat for them at once. Now the Shepherds, they're usually rock solid, so we had nothing to worry about in that regard. This is what somebody would call, or this is a perfect example of guided exposure. Letting the boys see the goats. We're not avoiding the goats. They're still able to smell the goats. They can see them, and it's at a safe distance Once things were cool, we took the Huskies right back off and got back to it. Now, let's say if the Huskies were like lunging, or our dogs were lunging, doing the most, trying to get to those goats, we would administer a correction. And the moment they perform the desired behavior, we would reward that and we keep it moving. Now, we are back at the entrance of the park in this video, and if your dog can't do everything on this list, they probably shouldn't be off leash. Now, this sign is 2 feet away from the dog's on leash sign, so that's why it's kind of like, it's really just, in my opinion, it's like if your dog is trained and can do everything on that leash, by all means, take the leash off. Anyway, this wraps up the episode on guided exposure. If I missed anything, or if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.